Good evening, and thank you for joining this live virtual telephone town hall meeting hosted by the Regional Transportation District, also known as RTD. I'm Roger, and I'll be your moderator tonight as we have a conversation with RTD Director Paul Rosenthal, who represents District E. District E includes part of Aurora, west of I-25 and south of Colfax, as well as Denver, Greenwood Village, and Centennial, south of Yale and east of I-25. We also have agency staff joining us to answer your questions, and they'll introduce themselves during the call. Tonight, we will be covering several topics, including customer safety initiatives, RTD's fare study and equity analysis, current recruiting efforts, and the next steps for Reimagine RTD. This is your opportunity to share thoughts and ask questions. If this is your first time on a virtual telephone town hall, here's how it works. To ask a question, just press star 3 on your telephone keypad and you'll be transferred to an operator who will take down some basic information and get you in the queue. Once the operator has your information, you can listen to the conversation until it's your turn. And then when I call your name, please repeat your question for our live audience. We want to get to as many questions as possible tonight, so please be brief when you are live with our audience. If you're participating online, you can ask a question or take part in polls directly from the streaming player. If you're listening on the phone and would like to watch the slide deck, just visit our YouTube page or the website. In addition to answering questions live, we will be asking 4 survey questions during the call. I will explain that process later. But now it's my pleasure to introduce Director Paul Rosenthal, District E. Thank you for joining us, Director. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Roger, and thank you, everybody, for putting this call together, and thank you, everybody, for being on the call. It's a real pleasure and an honor and a pleasure to serve the people of this region for RTD. As you may know, we're 2,342 square miles in RTD's zone. It's about the size of Rhode Island times 2. I do represent District E, but at the same time, I hope to think I represent the whole region. So we work together as 15 board members. So I'm really excited tonight to answer your questions and share any updates and also my perspectives. So again, to ask a question, press star 3 or enter your question or comment online. So Roger, before we dive in our first topic, I'd love to learn a little bit about the folks who have joined us tonight. Let's ask our first survey question. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. We'll do that. As Paul just mentioned, we'd like to learn a little bit about those of you joining us tonight. It's easy to participate. All you need to do is use your telephone keypad to enter your response. If you're participating online, just type or click your response. Here is that question. How frequently do you ride RTD services? Press 1 for every day, press 2 for once or twice a week, press 3 for once or twice a month, press 4 if you ride a few times per year, and press 5 if you do not currently ride RTD services. Please record your vote now. We'll share the results with you in just a few minutes. And again, if you have a question or comment, just press star 3 on your telephone keypad. There has been a lot of news coverage about safety concerns in the Denver metro area. I'd like to ask Steve Martingano, Interim Chief of RTD's Transit Police Division, to introduce himself and talk about what RTD is doing to help improve safety on transit and at RTD stations and bus stops. Chief, welcome.
Thanks, Roger, and hello to everyone. Again, my name is Steve Martingano. I'm the Interim Police Chief for the RTD Transit Police Division. I've been in law enforcement for 29 years. In the last 6.5, I've been here with RTD. Well, we have heard our customers' concerns about inappropriate behavior they are seeing around the city lately. As more people are using transit, again, where they are either heading to the office or coming out for, night of the town, every day RTD staff works hard to make sure that customers get to their destination safely. As we all know, one of the areas of the main concerns is the Denver Union Station. In collaboration with the City and County of Denver, RTD announced in April security enhancements to the bus concourse, which is the bus terminal underneath the rail platforms. Currently, in the short term, we're changing some lighting. We're replacing to better illuminate the space in the area. We are converting certain entrance points and exit points to be emergency exits for better flow. And, the cleaning crew is doing constant and consistent cleaning, especially deep cleaning, to make sure that area is more comfortable for when you come utilize our services. That's short term. In the long term, we are, over the next 12 to 16 months, the goal is to make that bus concourse area into a paid fare area to restrict access to only those who are using the buses to commute. It's going to include a redesign of the whole entire area, and that's projected to cost anywhere to $10 to $15 million. We recognize that these upgrades are very expensive, and under our strategic priority of financial success, RTD takes very seriously the management of all financial resources, and this project's no exception. So what RTD plans to do is reinvest funds that were returned of the approximately $29 million credit risk premium. This is part of the original investment into Union Station, and it's going to be used to implement and construct design improvements to enhance the customer experience when utilizing the station.
All right, Director, how can people and customers stay up to date on all these changes? There's a lot going on down at DUS.
Yeah, and I did have an opportunity to walk there a couple times and review what's going on. So Roger, RTD has launched a web page so everybody can keep apprised of what's going on. So it's dedicated to providing updates on the facility enhancements, Denver Union Station. So you can visit there by going to rtd-denver.com, and there's going to be a link on there. Customers can also sign up for a newsletter on the website. In addition to that, of those enhancements that Mr. Montegarno talked about, you can also find that RTD is making other changes to make sure that customers are safe when they're traveling on our buses and trains. So, Chief, would you like to talk a little bit more in depth about some of those changes?
Yeah, absolutely, Director. Like I said, I'm the interim police chief. In March, when I took over, the first thing I did was I restructured our transit police division into 4 sectors. We have a team that is dedicated to bus, another one to rail, another one that does community engagement, and the last one is mental health and homeless outreach teams. And they're all called impact teams because they are doing, they're making immediate impact while they're out there. For those that don't know, RTD was the first public transportation agency to combine mental health clinicians with police officers in a co-responder unit. This has been so successful that we applied for a grant, which we won, and now we have a homeless outreach coordinator also on our staff. We also utilize secondary employment officers from Denver, Aurora, and Thornton. And probably the first faces that all of our customers see is our security officers that are out there. We currently have a security contract with Allied Universal, which allows us to hire 295 security officers to be out and about in the system. All this, as well as the partnerships with the local police departments, really help RTD quickly respond to customer safety issues.
Chief, we get calls from customers occasionally who wonder why the commuter rail lines, both the A line and the G line, have armed security on each train, but light rail lines do not always have an officer or security personnel traveling with it. Why is that?
Roger, that's a great question, probably the most popular one that I get all the time. And the reason why that is the Federal Railroad Administration, also known as FRA, requires a second crew member to be present on all the commuter rail vehicles, which is the A line to the airport, the G line to Arvada, the B line to Westminster, and the N line to Thornton. What they don't require is a second crew member for light rail vehicles. So while we don't have security personnel on every light rail vehicle, we do utilize that rail impact team that I spoke about earlier, as well as our security personnel, and they are out there checking fares and ensuring customers are traveling safely. But the biggest tool that we have that really assists our police division is our RTD Transit Watch app. This is a free app that can be downloaded on both Apple and Android platforms. It allows customers to report security and safety concerns easily and discreetly. And for those that don't have the ability to download an app, we do have a phone number of 303-299-2911. So either if you utilize the app or utilize the phone number, that goes to one of our 2 police 911 certified dispatch centers. The only thing I ask is whether you utilize the app or the phone call, please be as specific as possible. When reporting a situation, please include the location you're at and also give a description of persons involved. And every time you either call us or you utilize the app, you help our team not only resolve situations, but also provide us the information to help to determine where we should focus our resources.
Thank you, Steve. Again, you can download the Transit Watch app on both your Apple and Android smartphones. And if you don't have a smartphone, you could reach RTD's Transit Police at 303-299-2911. Before we get to your questions, here are the answers to the first survey question. Again, we asked, how frequently do you ride RTD services? 34% said a few times per year. 33% of you do not ride RTD. And 16% of you ride RTD every day. We appreciate our customers choosing to take transit. It's environmentally friendly and helps reduce both pollution and congestion. And for those of you that don't currently ride transit, RTD continues to work hard to improve services, so give us a try. All right, let's get to your questions, and we're going to start with Jan. Jan, go right ahead. Hi, Jan, you're live. Go ahead. And you may be muted. I'm going to put you back, and we will come back to you. Let's go to Richard then on the phone. Richard, go ahead.
Hi there, good evening. This question is for Director Rosenthal. When was the last time you used an RTD bus or train, and how was your experience?
Thanks a lot, Richard. So about a week ago, I took the train to go downtown. And I have to say it was a pretty good experience. I drove my car to Southmore Park and Ride, and then took the train downtown. And everybody on the train was seemingly a good passenger. I didn't see anything illegal or anything that was awry or amiss. I tried to notice it probably could have been cleaned a little bit better. I think the floor a little bit, but other than that, it was a pretty good experience. It arrived on time. It got to my destination on time. So, I think it's the sort of thing where everybody's experience, though, is different. I do understand from getting feedback from people who are on our buses and trains that, we do get some really good feedback that people have good trips, and some of them are okay, and then some of them are not so good. So my experiences might be a little different than others. But thank you for your question.
All right. We've got an online question submitted by Andrea. She says, I often travel alone on RTD. What should I do if I'm suddenly in a situation that makes me feel unsafe? Steve, is that something you can address?
Yeah, so great question. And again, to go back to the Transit Watch app, this is a very important tool, and really the best tool that we have. If you download that app, you go ahead and it's text-based. So if you are traveling alone and you obviously don't want to speak out loud because of the other passengers around you, especially the individual that might be causing an issue for you, please go ahead and text it. It goes right to our police dispatch. They answer like it would be a 911 type call, and they could actually converse back and forth with you. So, I push this Transit Watch app, as does RTD, because it is such a valuable tool. And as a director always states, if you have the Transit Watch app, you are never traveling alone.
All right, thank you. Let's go back to Jan. Jan, you're live with our audience. Go ahead.
Yes, I had to take another call, so you may have already addressed this. But pre-COVID, I used the light rail all the time to meet friends downtown at the theater district. And it didn't matter what time I came home, I always felt really secure. And since COVID, things have changed in Aurora. And even in the daytime, there are homeless people camped in the elevator, or eating their meals in the elevator. Only one of the elevators the last time I was there was working, and so, I had to use it. As I said, I'm a senior, and so I just don't feel secure. And I wondered what kind of security patrol you have out there. Downtown at the theater district is never a problem. But 9 Mile doesn't feel like it used to.
Chief?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take that question as well, and thanks for the question. So RTD, as I had mentioned earlier, if you didn't hear, we utilize secondary employment. So we do have Aurora police officers. We have 2 police officers that take one of our RTD transit police vehicles, and they grab our radio and they listen to our calls of service. And they actually, in theory, they're police officers for RTD in that area. So again, if you utilize that RTD Transit Watch app, and you go ahead and you either call us or you text us, through the app itself, we will send our Aurora officers that are working for us. We also have several officers throughout the day that ride our buses as well, especially on East Colfax. Now, in regards to the elevator, our Transit Police Division has multiple cameras, and they are able to actually, almost every single elevator, they're able to actually go to that camera as well as do a voice and tell individuals, if you're not using the elevator, can you please exit the elevator, otherwise we're going to be sending a police response. So again, if you're able to contact our dispatch center when you see that, they could go ahead, switch to the camera, you're telling them, which elevator that you're experiencing an issue, and they'll either try to, persuade people to leave by voice. If not, they'll send Aurora Police for us.
Thank you, Chief. Great question so far. We appreciate you getting in the queue. If you want to ask a question, just press *3 on your telephone keypad. We really want to hear from you. If you're participating online, you can ask a question or take part in the polls directly from the streaming player. All right, let's move on to the next topic for tonight's call. It's RTD's Fair Study and Equity Analysis. We have Carl Green with us tonight. Carl, would you introduce yourself and provide us an update?
Yes, I'd be happy to, Roger. Again, my name is Carl Green, Jr. I'm the manager of the Transit Equity Office within the Civil Rights Division, and I'm also serving as the Deputy Project Manager of the System-Wide Fair Study. And I'm glad to be here tonight to provide our community in District E with an update and on our progress to date. So we've heard a lot from our customers that our current fare structure is expensive and confusing to use. One of our strategic priorities is customer excellence, where we strive to deliver consistent, high-quality customer service. And the Fair Study and Equity Analysis will help us identify areas where we can improve the customer experience when taking transit. So what this project looks to understand is our customers' opinions and preferences on current RTD fares, as well as how RTD can improve them. To date, RTD has hosted 2 public meetings, including one conducted in Spanish, as well as facilitated 3 customer feedback panels centering on equity, past programs, and jurisdictions. In addition to that, we've invited customers to provide feedback on the current fare structure utilizing a survey, and the survey was available in English, Spanish, Chinese, and Vietnamese. And we received over 2,400 responses.
Carl, I really appreciate the work you're doing on that. Something I do hear a lot about is a lot of confusion over our fares. Can you tell us a little bit more about the status of that study and how's it going?
Yeah, so we started in earnest dating back to late December, early January, and we've been full steam ahead as far as our overarching community engagement. And from the start, we wanted to ensure that this was a very customer and community centric. So that's what we've been doing and will continue to do. So as far as the Fair Study and Equity Analysis project, it will continue through 2022, and then staff are expected to have a recommendation for the board of directors to review some of these fare alternatives in the spring of 2023. So again, there will be many opportunities for our customers to share their ideas, and throughout the summer it'll provide a number of different opportunities for our customers to get involved in the evaluation of conceptual fare options, as well as the trade-offs that are considered when evaluating these alternatives to the current fare structure. So coming up on June 23rd, there will be a customer and community meeting in English, and then we'll have another one in Spanish on June 29th. And then looking at the fall, we will also connect with the public once more to get more feedback on a refined list of fare alternatives before any changes to the fare products or past programs go into effect. And again, so there will be a public hearing process where the public can see the final proposed changes, as well as to offer their feedback. Again, we're putting our customer and community at the front end of this, and we'll continue throughout the entire process.
Speaking of the process, where can people learn more about it and keep apprised?
Excellent question. So customers interested in offering feedback can sign up for updates on RTD's website at www.rtd-denver.com/fair study. That's FARESTUDY. And as a reminder, I just wanted to make note for our community and folks attending tonight that RTD currently offers discounted fares for youth, people with disabilities, and seniors. And we also offer discounts for low-income residents as part of our low-income fare or our LIVE program. And information on our current fare products can be made available or accessed on our website by visiting www.rtd-denver.com/fares-passes/discount-fares.
All right, thank you very much for that, Carl. Let's take a moment to ask our second survey question. Again, for callers, please use your telephone keypad to enter the number of your response. If you're participating online, you can type or click your response. Here is the question. Do you believe that RTD fares should be more affordable even if it results in less service? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no, and press 3 if you're not sure. Go ahead and record your vote. I'll share the results with you in a moment, and we're going to go back to your questions. Let's take one that came in online from Scott. How does RTD define equity? Carl, that one might be a good one for you.
That's an excellent question, Scott, and I'd be happy to answer it. Equity is a core principle of RTD's functional mission in providing public transit service and programs within the Denver region. And as we look at the intersection between mass transit and equity, it's about working towards and ensuring the fair distribution of resources and opportunities across our system, with a strong emphasis on historically underrepresented communities. RTD strives to ensure that for any plan changes that will potentially negatively impact customers based on race, color, national origin, or low-income populations, RTD strives to ensure that we will not negatively impact these historically underrepresented communities, and that for any plan changes that would create a potential burden, we would mitigate those changes. And this is rooted in Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And given that we're on the subject of our fair study and equity analysis, this is what I will say, it's an integral component. Equity is an integral component to this fair study to ensure that we take an equitable approach to evaluate our fare alternatives prior to implementing a new RTD fare structure or making any changes to our past programs. So again, thank you, Scott, for that question.
All right, here's another question that came in online from Sarah. She writes, I have a MyRide card, and she's heard it's changing to a different system. Does that mean MyRide cards are going away?
I can go ahead and take that question, Roger. So again, great question, Sarah. The implementation of account-based ticketing, which we refer to as ABT, will require updates and new equipment across the RTD system. And this includes new validators, updated RTD mobile ticket apps, new MyRide smart cards, and new devices for fare inspectors. So our current MyRide customers will need to transfer their balance to an RTD mobile ticket account to use their phone or a new MyRide card to pay for fares. And as we get closer to rolling out this new system, RTD will be sending out extensive communication on the exciting new features and instructions on this change. So that'll be at the tail end of July, early August. So be on the lookout for this extensive communication that will be going out to our customers. Thank you, Sarah.
All right, thank you. Again, to ask a question, press *3 on your telephone keypad. We'll get you in the queue. We've got a few questions that we'll be getting to here in just a minute, but get in early so that we can get to those here later in the call. I'm going to provide the results of our second survey question. Again, we asked, do you believe that RTD fares should be more affordable even if it results in less service? 55% said no, and 23% said yes, and 22% of you were not sure. Thanks for participating in that survey. We do have a couple more coming, so stay tuned. If you're just joining us or joined late, this is a virtual telephone town hall hosted by RTD. I'm Roger, your moderator, and we're talking with District E Director Paul Rosenthal. We also have agency staff joining us to answer your questions, and you can ask your own question by pressing *3 on your telephone keypad. Let's get back to our questions, and we're going to go to Joseph on the phone. Go ahead.
Hi there. I am my site's been affected from a automobile accident back in 1988. Okay, I spent time in a coma and the whole 9 yards, and so half my vision is gone, and I use Medicare or Medicaid, whatever it is, and so I have no problem getting the 10 ride pass books for half off. But I was just wondering, it's just something that irks me. A lot of I don't mean to stereotype anybody, but do all the drivers, regardless of where they're at, have to wear their seatbelts? Over the years, I've had some that say yes and some that say no. So please answer this. Thank you.
That's an interesting question. Who on the team might know the answer to that? Well, you may have stumped us.
I'll look into. Yeah, I mean, state law states every driver should be wearing a seatbelt. So I don't know if a bus has a provision within it that doesn't, but I will definitely reach out to our bus operations and see, if that's a requirement for when they're riding the bus. I would think so, but I would hate to obviously answer wrong. So I will find out.
Someone will call you and give you the answer, because that's a great question, and we're just not sure. So thank you for that. All right, let's get back to a question that was submitted online, and it is from Josephine. Will RTD make fares free?
I could go ahead and answer that question. This is Carl, Transit Equity Manager, and that's a great question. So going completely fare-free, also referred to as zero fare, would require new substantial ongoing funding source in order to maintain RTD's current service levels or making service increases. So this is a question that we get a lot throughout this fare study and equity analysis project. So while the study is unlikely to consider going entirely zero fare, and may consider offering free fares to a subset of customers, especially as we're thinking about equity populations.
All right. Thank you, Carl.
If I could interject real quick, Roger.
Yeah, go ahead. Direct.
As folks may know, the governor just signed Senate Bill 180, which makes fare free for the whole month of August. So that's something that folks should also understand, that we're trying to work with the state to have do what we can for better air quality to try to get folks to take transit. So we'll see how that goes. But everybody is welcome to take any bus or train for the whole month of August fare free. Thank you. Thanks, Roger.
Thank you. Carl, I've got a quick follow-up question that does relate to fares. I've been hearing about fare capping. What does that mean?
Yes, so the system, when we think about fare capping, it's a system that will accumulate fares for 3-hour trips purchased in a day and or month, and it'll automatically convert them into day and monthly passes, and customers will enjoy the benefits of period passes without having to pay the full amount of upfront. And this is directly tied to our account-based ticketing system, which will launch again early August, late July timeframe. And that's a new feature of the account-based ticketing system. And essentially, it more or less gets to the point of ensuring that our customers can pay the best fare for the value that they receive.
All right, thank you for that. All right, before we get moving on to our next topic, let's ask our third survey question. Again, if you're on the phone, use your telephone keypad to enter the number of your response. Here is the question. What factor would increase your likelihood of taking RTD services the most? Press 1 for more affordable fares. Press 2 for a system where you feel safe. Press 3 for more frequent bus and train service. And press 4 for more service coverage in your area. While you're recording your vote, I'm going to remind you that you can ask your question live. Just press *3. We've got operators ready to go. So press *3, and we'd be happy to take your question. I'm going to ask Director Rosenthal to introduce our next topic. Director?
Sure. Thanks a lot, Roger. So when we think about RTD, it's about moving people, and the people who move people are the folks who work at RTD. So we have a workforce of over 3,500 employees, which is really huge. And so we have positions really across the board. So obviously we have bus and rail operators, but we also have mechanics and admin staff and many, many, many more. So I'd like to introduce our next person to really talk a little bit more about our workforce.
Hi, yes,
Sullivan?
Director, I'd be happy to talk about that. Yeah,
Thank
my
you.
name is Mo Sullivan. I'm the Senior Service Planner and Scheduler for our service planning, our East team, so all of the bus routes in the eastern part of the RTD district. And, you know, one of my favorite things about working at RTD is the great people I've gotten to meet that also work here. And that's really one of our strategic priorities is employee ownership. So we're really seeking to attract and retain highly skilled and engaged workforce and employees. So right now, we're currently hiring for positions across the agency. Specifically, we're really looking for bus and rail operators, body shop technicians, and mechanics. And these positions and many other represented or union positions are eligible for a $4,000 signing bonus. So if you or a family member are looking for a great job with a great group of people, I would really consider applying to work at RTD. It's a great job with great benefits, and those represented positions do have a pension, which is pretty hard to find these days. Thank you.
Thank you, Mo. Director, what are some of the benefits you would like to maybe highlight or share for those considering joining the RTD team?
Thanks, Roger, and thank you, Mo, for updating us on that. One of the big, news items that maybe folks maybe missed recently is we have a new collective bargaining agreement with the Amalgamated Transit Union, ATU Local 1001, and that was signed and implemented in February of this year. So it's going to offer additional benefits to employees with positions covered by the union. So the RTD, what's great about it is it does offer a lot of competitive wages, has education allowances, an excellent retirement savings plan, paid in-house training programs, and things like that. What you may not know is RTD also offers an extensive training program. So maybe one of our listeners out there may want to learn how to operate a train. Personally, I love riding trains. If you're interested in being a bus operator or train operator, we'll help you get a commercial driver's license, or what they call a CDL. Individuals out there, anybody interested in joining RTD, encouraged to review any open positions on our website, and that is rtd-denver.com/careers. If you don't see a position and maybe you're interested in something, certainly check back quite a bit. We always have something new. So, Roger, perhaps do we have any other questions?
Sure. I have a question that's come in online, and here we go. It says, it's from John, do all positions, new positions, qualify for the $4,000 bonus?
I'm sorry, what was that, Roger?
So, and maybe someone else might even also know the answer to this. Does every new position or every hire qualify for the $4,000 signing bonus? Is that bonus for all jobs or just certain jobs?
Hi, this is Mo again, Senior Service Planner and Scheduler with RTD. Not all positions qualify for that $4,000 signing bonus. just kind of those really high demand jobs, so any operator or mechanic position. Also, safety dispatcher is another job that qualifies. But those are all listed on the website. They're clearly identified which ones qualify for that. So if you're looking for a job, I encourage you to go to the rtd-denver.com/careers page, and you'll be able to figure out which ones their asterisk says $4,000 signing bonus. So we encourage you to check out that webpage to see which ones qualify.
Terrific. Thank you, Mo. All right, here are the results of our third survey question. We asked, what factor would increase your likelihood of taking RTD services the most? About 36% of you said more services in my area, and 36% said a safer system. 21% said more frequent bus and train service. Thank you for that. And we'll have one more question in just a few minutes. Let's go next. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, I'm sorry, this is Steve Martingano. So I reached out to bus ops, and they told me that bus operators should be wearing their seatbelts all the time while they were driving. So whoever asked that question, the answer is yes, they need to be wearing it. If you do see somebody without their seatbelt on, please please contact our customer service and let us know, and we'll find out who that driver is and make sure that they wear it on their next trip.
Thank you there, Chief, for that. That's terrific. All right, we have another question about jobs that came in online from Santiago. He asks, what do jobs pay at RTD? What do these jobs that you've talked about pay at RTD? Who'd like to take that?
Hi, this is Mo again. I can take that. But HR is not necessarily my area of expertise, but they've done a very good job of kind of spreading the word about all the different benefits and starting wages. So for bus and rail operators, right now the starting wage is $24 an hour. For body shop technicians, the starting wage is $27.98 an hour. And for service and cleaning, the starting wage is $18.42 an hour. And if you're interested in any other positions that I didn't mention, it is all listed, state of Colorado law, actually, that it has to be listed for Colorado job listings. But that's included in the all listings at rtd-denver.com/careers. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Mo, for that. All right. Let's go to our next topic, and that is Reimagine RTD, the agency's plan for the next 5 years. And I think Brandon's going to give us an update on this. Go ahead.
That's correct. Hi, everybody. My name is Brandon Figliolino. I'm the Senior Specialist in Community Engagement here at RTD. So at RTD, we are striving to be a strong community partner by providing value to customers as well as to the broader Denver metro region. This is our first strategic priority, and the Reimagine RTD initiative falls under this umbrella. Reimagining RTD is a planning process that we've used to develop and address transit challenges, as well as to answer the question of what's next for RTD. So we do have current challenges that include reductions in ridership resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and limited options for increasing consistent funding for the future. So the Reimagine RTD plan has provided us a framework to guide future service decision makings across the district via two different components. The first is our system optimization plan, also known as the SOP. This is essentially a redesign of RTD services to balance the needs of the traveling public with the financial realities that are facing the agency. And the second component of our Reimagine RTD plan is the mobility plan for the future, and that is a long-term plan to create strategies between now and 2050 to address the region's future mobility needs through partnerships and other more innovative measures. We did just complete the system optimization plan, which looks at the near term within the next 5 years, so 2022 through 2027, thereabouts. Through that planning process, we had several community engagement activities and found that a majority of respondents requested additional service that exceeds the resources that we have available. So other areas are going to be monitored for future consideration that aren't necessarily in the SOP at present. We have had a lot of public and stakeholder comments, and adjustments are being made to the SOP based on those within the resources that we have available. And as I said, we're going to be implementing the Reimagine campaign over the next 5 years through 2027, and it is really dependent on the availability of operator resources. So share with your friends that RTD is hiring and is a great place to work, because as we increase our operations and our operators, we'll be able to add additional service. And in July, the RTD board will act on the final SOP to determine how to move forward, and they'll also review the mobility plan for the future.
Brandon, I've got a quick follow-up question. If folks submitted comments earlier in the year to be included in the Reimagine RTD plan, how will RTD or what will RTD do with the comments they received?
Yeah, that's a great question, Roger. So we did receive over 1,600 comments throughout the whole engagement process. And what is happening now is the Reimagine team is reviewing all of those comments. And if people submitted emails or wrote or called in to the hotline, they are responding to those emails and calling people back to thank them for their feedback. And all of those comments are also going to be included in the board packet that is going to be submitted in the final SOP. So the board of directors will also be reviewing all of those comments and can see what our customers are saying.
Great. Mo, I subscribe to RTD service alerts, and sometimes there are cancellations on my route. What is RTD doing to mitigate those cancellations?
Yeah, Roger, great question. You know, we hate to see that happen, but unfortunately with our workforce limitations right now, and then just the nature of COVID, you know, our bus operators all share some of the same common spaces. So when one gets sick, multiple can get sick, and, you know, we're doing our very best to try to keep everyone as healthy as possible. But unfortunately, you know, when someone's sick, we don't want them driving your bus. So there are some cancellations, but when they happen, we really do try to mitigate it as much as possible. So we, you know, in real time, if we find out only an hour or two before that the driver's not going to be able to make it in, we make sure that we don't cancel 2 trips in a row as much as possible. And we also make sure that that last run of the night, that last trip, we do everything in our power to make sure that one's not canceled either. And one thing that really helps a lot is enrolling in the service alerts, which you can do through the RTD website or apps. And that way you can, you know, say which routes you ride the most to make sure you're getting alerts whenever there are cancellations. So at least you can plan ahead a little bit and know that maybe your usual trip won't be there when you expect it, but you can take the next one or the one before instead, or maybe a different, you know, bus or train route as an alternative to reach your final destination. And so that's a really great way to do it. And anytime those trips are canceled, you know, that shows up in our RTD Next Ride and our trip planner functions. And it also works in downstream apps. So one app I use a lot too personally is the Transit app. And so when we cancel a trip, it does feed into the downstream system, so you can see it on those apps as well. So highly encourage everyone to sign up for those service alerts on our website.
Thanks, Mo. It's Director Rosenthal. Roger, just real quick, if I could interject. So what we also see at RTD is we do review so 3 times a year and decide on how do we modify our routes, particularly for our buses, to ensure that we are increasing service the best we can, but also making sure, as Carl knows, reaching our equity populations the best we can. So we do make changes, and that's why it's so important to get that feedback from all the listeners on tonight, from the community, and getting that input. You know, I know that sometimes in the media there may be a story about, like, well, why don't you provide service for this event or that event or this facility or that facility, and so certainly it is really important that we receive, folks' feedback about, potentially addressing, providing service to those. But at the same time, kind of what Mo's talking about, we also have limitations about our service because we have, only a certain number of drivers, operators, and other resources that, we have to make sure that we serve the routes that we promise that we're going to serve. So just so folks also understand that there's a dynamic about, as I said earlier in the very beginning, we're a very big system. And so we're trying our best to make sure that we serve all of our customers, particularly those who are underserved. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. All right, we have our last survey question. Again, use your telephone keypad to enter your response. Here is that last survey question. How satisfied are you with RTD's services overall? Press 1 for very satisfied. Press 2 for satisfied. Press 3 for somewhat dissatisfied. And press 4 for very dissatisfied. Again, we'll share the results with you later in the call. And we're now going to go back to Director Rosenthal, what else would you like to share with our audience tonight about RTD and maybe specifically in your district?
Sure, and thanks a lot, Roger. So what I'm certainly advocating for and what we're certainly seeing is restoration of some service that I kind of talked about earlier on some of the routes, and particularly bus routes that affect schools. So that, and what we saw in the last set of changes that I mentioned is what they call school trippers, and those are buses that are serving schools during the school year, and that's really something that I advocate for as well. But also the R line that goes along 225. But what we do need to see is sort of a reality. We need to see more people on those trains, particularly the R line, to make sure that we can justify restoring that service. So that's something that I certainly always am very keyed in, not just the system as a whole, but also what's going on in my area, which is both, as Roger mentioned earlier, heavily in Aurora, West Aurora. So that's something that I'm certainly looking at. But just a little bit more about what's going on the board of directors, just a little bit more on that dynamic. That, it is 15 of us. We're very diverse from all over the metro area. We have folks who are men and women, older, younger, African-American, Latina, LGBT. So I think we come from very diverse backgrounds, and we provide those perspectives to each other, but also to the leadership. And I think we have a good working relationship with each other and with our general manager, Deborah Johnson, who's doing a great job. So I think folks should know that we're a team, both at the senior leadership, and of course I'm also thankful for not just my colleagues and the general manager, but her leadership team, and of course everybody who works at RTD. So that's just a little bit more in the dynamic and some of my perspectives about what I'm looking for and what I'm advocating for.
All right. Thank you very much for that information. Here are the results of our final survey question. Again, we asked, how satisfied are you with RTD services overall? And 47% said satisfied, 27% said somewhat dissatisfied, and 20% of you are very satisfied. We appreciate that feedback. We're going to take some questions online. If you are listening on the phone, there's still time to press *3 and get in the queue and ask us a question. Here we did get one in line, and it's from Steph. There isn't bus service in my area. How can I request a flex ride route? Who'd like to take that?
Hi, this is Mo again, Senior Service Planner and Scheduler. I'm happy to take that. So as part of the Reimagine RTD process, some areas of the district have been identified as really good candidates for alternative service delivery outside of fixed bus route service. So we do have a pretty comprehensive flex ride system already, but that's definitely something we want to look to expand just as you get a little bit more sprawled out. Flex ride service is a great way to still provide transit service, but to a less dense population. So starting in 2023, RTD is going to make money available for partnerships with other local jurisdictions to make sure we can bring those types of projects to those communities who are looking for that kind of service. So those submitted projects will be evaluated and then potentially implemented just based on need and warrants and those partnerships. So I encourage you all or to reach out to your local municipalities and see what you all might be able to do to ask or request for more or some sort of flex ride service as part of that.
All right, thank you. We've got one other online question from Jan about Denver Union Station. She says, what is RTD doing about people experiencing homelessness at our transit hub, Denver Union Station? We kind of talked about that earlier, but Chief, do you want to cover a little bit more on that?
Yeah, great. Another great question. So as I mentioned earlier, we have a homeless outreach coordinator. We received a federal grant from the FTA, and that person has started here a few months ago and has really hit the ground running. But, you know, City and County of Denver have been a great partner. They continually to assist us by providing services and outreach personnel. And every Wednesday on 17th Street in front of the Whole Foods, if people know the area, they bring what's called a Wellness Winnie out there. It's a Winnebago that they converted into an outreach vehicle. And they have like socks and you know, clothing and food. And they also have resources on how to get housing and all. And in the Denver Public Library, they bring on Tuesdays and one Wednesday a month, they bring their mobile library. And that's a system where individuals are able to actually do virtual court. So a lot of people suffering from homelessness, sometimes they do get criminal citations and they don't have the ability to go to court. So they're able to do that within that Denver Library mobile vehicle. So again, Denver has a lot of resources between the rescue missions and other organizations, and really we're just trying to make sure that people understand how much there is out there to provide them with need, and we continue RTD employees as well as our staff and everyone that's around the area continues to try to direct people to these locations to make sure that you know, they could get resources to help them in everyday life.
Terrific. All right, let's hear from Joseph on the phone. Joseph, go ahead.
Hi, I'm a disabled person. I used to have the disabled you know, the ID that you guys made, that I made, that I went down to Denver you know, the bus depot downtown. And I got a pass made for it. But anyways, and now it's just my Medicare card. But I mean, I show them that at Safeway, and I'm able to get all the services. I have nothing but good things to say about that. But I'm just saying, why would a person? I've turned him down a couple times, maybe more than that, but he wants to pay me cash for a ticket in my ride book. Does that make sense? I don't understand why he'd want to pay me cash. I always turn him down and say, you know, there's nothing I can do for you. I'm sorry, and it's just I don't have any idea who this guy. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he's homeless or whatever, but he always asks me. He wants to give me money for a ride in my ride book. So, thank you.
Anyone want to address that? I think generally the chief mentioned what is going on and we're working on at Denver Union Station. This kind of rolls all into that. So we appreciate your input there. Let's go to another question on the phone from Aiden. Aiden, go ahead.
Hello. I have a question on whether the 21 will be extended back to Federal Center Station, because currently it's just stopping at Pearson and Jewel, and it actually passes a school on the way to Federal Center Station, so I want to know if that will be up and running soon.
Hi, Aiden. This is Mo Sullivan, Senior Service Planner and Scheduler. Thank you for your question. Yes is kind of the answer to it. However, I don't know exactly when. So it is proposed that The 21 will extend to Federal Center Station as part of the Reimagine Service Optimization Plan proposal. And actually what's proposed as part of that plan is to break up the route and split it into an east and a west side, and that will increase the service reliability on both sides of that route. To split it up so that, if it's late, it's not going to impact the route as much. So that is an opportunity for the future. However, it really does depend on our resources, so I can't tell you exactly when it'll be implemented, but as soon as we can reliably implement it with the operators we have available, we'll definitely look to restore that service for you. Thanks.
Thank you, Mo. We have a question that came in online from Carol. She says, my bus stop does not have a bench. How can I request RTD install one? If, Mo or Brandon, maybe one of you could answer that question.
Yes, sorry. Had trouble getting off mute that time. Yes, so you can definitely request those amenities. Currently, RTD, we do have sort of certain standards that stops need to meet for us to implement certain amenities. But, there are several other municipalities that also provide that shelter or that bus stop amenity, so benches, trash cans, things like that. So if, your particular bus stop doesn't meet our standards, your municipality may be looking to provide that amenity for you, or the local business that stop might be in front of. But in order to request one for RTD, you can either call the team at 303-299-2004 and tell us which stop you would like to see that amenity at. Or you can also go online and email, so our department at service.changes@rtd-denver.com, and again, tell us kind of which stop you're looking at exactly, and from there we will direct you to the proper form to fill out so that you can request that bus stop through our system. But again, if it doesn't meet our standards, a local business or municipality may be open to providing that amenity as well. So, thanks.
All right,
and Roger, if I
you.
could build on that real quick, what we have seen is some new shelters that are particularly along Colfax. So the next time folks are either taking the 15 or driving along Colfax, you can see some of those beautiful new shelters. So RTD is certainly either working with our partners or on its own, putting up some pretty nice shelters as well.
Director, thank you for that. And we have come to the end of our hour, so I'll hand it back to you for some closing remarks.
Thanks a lot, Roger, and thanks a lot, everybody, for participating tonight, both on behalf of RTD and but also everybody in the community. So we had hundreds of people online tonight, and that really meant you were taking time out of your evening. And so really appreciate it. It is so critical that you participate by in sort of future meetings, but also emailing us. You can always email us at board.office@rtd-denver.com, and we would be glad to try to get an answer for you or to some of the questions, particularly that we're on. Thank you, Roger.